Hey everybody, this is Michael Pedone with SalesBuzz.com, and today I'm going to take a few minutes. I'm going to give you a few tips on how to create your own opening value statement. And what we're going to do is this: I'm going to show you what a pour opener looks like, how to create a custom opener, and then give you an example of what a winning opening value statement looks like. So let's jump right on in here. So here we have an example from somebody. I'm just going to go through this, and I'm going to pick it apart a little bit, and I'm going to show you how we can improve it. Okay, so the first opener that came on over was this. It says, "Hi, my name is," has your name, your company name. Then she says, "The largest global meeting planner. We help companies like yours by saving them time and money to plan their company meetings. Our database has over 256,000 hotels that we can research and save money for your company. Can we set up some time so I can give you some more details?" Okay, now we all know that the answer is going to be no if we use this opening value statement. So let's fix this. Let's jump right on in here. All right, so first things first, I like, hey, you're doing your introduction right up front. You're saying, "Hi, my name is this with this company." I think that's perfect. They need to know that. They need to know who you are and what company you're calling with. So we're okay there. Where we fall off the tracks right away after that is this part right here. Okay, when we go ahead and say the largest global meeting planner, that just happens to be what this person is that sent me this opener, right? When we go ahead and say that right after our opening value statement or after our introduction to the opening value statement, the problem is this, is that saying the largest global meeting planner has absolutely no value to the person on the other end of the phone. And that is one of the things that's automatically going to turn your prospect's attention off, and that's the exact opposite of what we want to have happen. So first things first, I'm totally cool with, "Hi, this is," or I would even say their prospect's name, right? "Hey, John, this is Michael Pedone with," and then you say your company name, totally cool. But then you want to get right to the next piece of the what's in it for them value statement. So just to recap, make sure you keep this out because, again, the reason, no value. So now we jump down here, and she says, "We help companies like yours." Let me stop right there. First of all, this is a very common template that people are using out there in the sales world, and they're not getting results. And then they start complaining, well, scripts don't work and things of that nature. And what it is scripts really do work, but you have to have the right script. You have to wordsmith it correctly. And this is a poorly written template that people are using out there. And here's why. When you say the words, "We help companies like yours," you're being lazy, first of all. The second thing is that the prospect on the other end of the phone, they're thinking, I bet you say that to everybody. And the reality is, you probably are. You probably really are saying that to everybody. And there's no value to it. You're going to be much better off being very specific. And I'm going to give you some examples on when you say, "We help companies," instead of saying like yours, here's an idea. How about name the type of industry you're calling? The reason for my call is we help companies that specialize in, and then you name their industry. It's going to get a much more immediate effect, a positive effect. Their antenna is going to be raised. They're going to tune in to hear what you have to say, okay? So in this example here, it says, "We help companies like yours," so we want to get rid of that part, "by saving them time and money." So here's the third mistake. The first one was this sentence here. Second one was "like yours." Then saving time and money. Listen, that is not specific enough. Again, you could be selling widgets, you could be selling software, you could be selling logistics, you could be selling vacation packages, whatever it is. There's nothing that's going to invoke the emotion specifically to that prospect, because this is a catch-all phrase. Anybody can call them, use this as a cold call and opener and lead with this, but it doesn't have the positive effect that you need it to be on the other side, if that makes sense, okay? So when you go, "We help companies like yours by saving them time and money," again, not a good idea, "to plan their company meetings." Okay, now the next sentence. "Our database has over 256,000 hotels." First of all, we're now into a spray and pray. We're into a mini little sales pitch or a little mini data dump. There's no value to them yet that you have 256,000 hotels. That's not resonating with them. They don't need 256,000 hotels. I don't care who they are. So that's not having of any value. And then it says, "We can research and save money for your company." Then it goes into, "Can we set up a time so I can give you some more details?" Two things I really do not like about this. One, the answer is going to be no, because we didn't pique their interest up here. We didn't have a really strong what's in it for them value statement, right? The second reason why I don't like this, even if on a crazy whim they actually said yes, You just put yourself into position to have to do a presentation the next time you speak to them because you said, can we set up some time so I can give you some more details? If you're giving details, that means you're basically doing the presentation, right? You're giving information, and so you skipped major steps in the sales process. You don't know if this is the right person to speak to. You don't know what the pain points are. You don't know what the ideal solutions to them look like, right? So there's all kinds of things. You don't even know if they're qualified on the sense of how many events do they do. If they only do one every 5 years, is that somebody you really want to go after? Right? So there's all kinds of questions that we skipped over, and we put ourselves in a position to call them, and if we do get them on the phone again, to do a data dump, and then we're going to hope for the best. And listen, you can have all the energy in the world you want to sell that way. It's going to fade fast. It's going to lead to burnout faster than just about anything else that's out there. So this is, in my opinion, this is a poor opener that we want to avoid, but the good news is we can learn from it. All right? So now, the next thing we're going to do is this. How to create a customized opening value statement that's going to lead to more set appointments and deeper conversations. Okay, first things first. Why don't we name the specific verticals that you're going after? So the problem with this is when you say we help companies like yours, it's not specific enough. So with that being said, and then the reason why when I point this out in past sessions, and like private workshops I've done, they always say, well, you know, we can help everybody, so we just want to say like yours. Well, the problem with that is this. Most companies think they can help everybody, but if you contact a small business and you talk about how you helped big organizations, they're going to think that they don't have that kind of budget. They're not. If I'm a small business, you're contacting me and you're talking about how you help Microsoft and all these other companies, large companies, Salesforce, Cisco, whatever. That's not my niche, so I'm going to be like, well, we're not a good fit. And vice versa. If you go too small and you speak to a large company, that's going to be a problem as well. But if you're contacting a specific vertical, it doesn't matter if they're large or small, but it's relevant to them. You have to go back to, if you haven't read Dale Carnegie's How to Win Friends, Influence People book, I highly recommend that you did it because this book was written probably before the phone was invented. And here's the thing, the principle in that book, which is people care about themselves and what's most important to them, and you get them to like you by asking questions and showing that you care about what they care about. That's like the secret right there, right? So there, I just saved you hours of reading the book. That's really what it is. Here's how it translates when you do an opening value statement. You want to start with things that are going to be relevant and important to the person you're calling, not what's important to you. Most salespeople pick up the phone because they want to make a sale rather than want to see if they can help the other person on the other end of the phone. If you lead with the mindset of that you want to help them, and then you know that you have to pique their interest, and the best way to do that is to start by something that is of interest to them to get the conversation going, you're going to be in a win-win scenario here. Does this make sense? Right? So with that being said, ask yourself a couple of questions. If you're going to build your opening value statement, and by the way, you might have multiple opening value statements based on the lead type that you're calling. Some companies can have one opening value statement that works for all their leads. Other companies, you might have to have different openers based on the lead type, and some of those questions could look like this. You know, what industry do you specialize in? And again, this is where I normally get somebody to come back and say, well, we can help anybody. We can help everybody. Well, the thing is this, even if that's true, break the leads down into, you should know who your top, and even let's say you help 10 different types of organizations, 10 different industries, right? Who buys from you the most? Which industry buys from you the most? Rank them, but then at least know what they are. And then when you look at your lead list, break your leads up into by industry as an example. So in other words, if I'm calling an industry that is a SaaS company, software as a service, I can use my opener specifically to that industry. If I'm calling an organization that's a logistics, right, I can use an opener that's specific for them. Does that make sense, everybody? You guys with me on this? Cool? All right. So start by analyzing and going, what industries do we specialize? What are the top 5, top 10 industries that you have? And by the way, when I'm going through my own lead list, I know what my top 10 industries are. If I see one that's like way down, like number 87, chances are I might not even call that one because there's so many other leads I could go after. There's such a higher probability of me closing, especially if I have to make cold calls. I'd rather cold call into industries I already have a good reputation and that I have a proven track record in, rather than calling the one person that's way down the bottom. Make sense? So what industries do you specialize in? Now, once you get your industries, analyze the last 10 deals that you came in or the last 100 deals or whatever, right? And then analyze and go, how many employees does my typical client have? How many employees does my typical client have in the SaaS field or in the logistics, right? Just keep breaking it on down that way. What is the annual revenue that the average one of those in each one of those industries have? How many events do that? And now, especially for this example, since it was more of an event planning thing, now you might want to, one of the other KPIs, I call it KPIs, these are key prospecting indicators, right? Because when you have a lead, that doesn't mean actually when you have somebody to call, it's not really a lead yet. You're not sure if it's a lead until you qualify it. So they're suspects. So you want to know what your KPIs are that would at least pre-qualify a potential lead to be a suspect, so you can put them in your list, then you contact them, and then if they're qualified, then they move on, right? Okay, so with that being said, in this scenario, the sales script that was sent over was specific for an industry where they do event planning for corporations. Okay, well, isn't it true that you could call one organization, they look good on the front end, and you find out they only do an event every 3 years or 4 years or 5 years, and they just had one last month? Is that somebody you really want to be going after? Do you want to wait 4 years for the potential sale to come in? No, right? So here's the other thing. You have to analyze. My best clients are in this industry. They have this amount of employees. They do this much annual revenue, and they do this X amount. They range between this and this amount of events per year. This is how you get to know how to pick your zebra out of the herd. Right, so you need to build all this stuff up because you're going to be peppering, once you get past the opening value statement, you get to the qualifying phase, you're going to want to pepper in some of these questions so you can get the conversation going, but you can also find out how qualified they really are or aren't, right? And another one could be, in this scenario, what locations do they normally visit when they have these corporate events? Do you specialize in this area? Maybe they're overseas and you don't do that, or maybe you specialize in overseas and they do want to do that, right? So this is very valuable information. And even if you do not sell, planning events and things of that nature, that's okay. Everything that I'm saying, just because the questions I'm asking are going to be relevant, the wording might be different, but the thinking and the logic behind it is going to be for every industry and vertical out there. I don't care what you sell. You should be asking yourself these types of questions in order to build that profile, okay? So before you pick up the phone and cold call someone, the people on the list should have minimal KPIs that will pre-qualify them to be a suspect. Got it? All right, excellent. Now, let's get right on into what a really good opening value statement would look like. There you go. Here's what a winning opening value statement looks like. I have two options for you here. First, we start with the introduction. Really simple, easy peasy, right? Hi, John, this is Michael Pedone with, and you say your company name. Now, option one is this. Reason for my call is we help urology associations streamline their event planning and save an average of X%. There's a possibility I may be able to help you too, but I need to ask you a few questions first to be sure. Would that be okay? Now, here's the thing. If you did your research and you know that urology associations are somebody that you really specialize in helping their event planning, right? And you come in and you say, we help urology associations. First of all, that's going to pique their interest if you're calling a urology association. We've helped other urology associations to streamline their event planning. I would actually slow it down and emphasize it like that. It's almost like I'm bolding it in type, right? So John, the reason for my call is we help urology associations to streamline their event planning and save them an average of 18% when doing so. Listen, there's a possibility I may be able to help you too, but I would need to ask a few questions first to be sure. Would that be okay? Now, that's one option. And if I'm speaking to somebody who is a pre-qualified lead, in other words, they're a urology association, they're in charge of doing the planning, or they're at least part of that process, and who doesn't want to streamline that scenario there, right? And as well as save money on the overall event. So then when you do it this way, you're putting the what's in it for them first. You're going to get a lot more, well, okay, sure, I have a second. And that's all you needed. Your opening value statement did its job, you piqued interest, and now, boom, you're going to be right into be able to ask them some questions in the qualifying phase, get the conversation started. That's one scenario. Another one is this, right? And again, I'm just giving you some options here, but option two could look like this. So after you do your introduction, say, the reason for my call is we help urology associations avoid large event planning hiccups, and there's a possibility I may be able to help you too, but I would need to ask you a few quick questions first to be sure. Would that be okay? Now, listen, if you're calling into an organization and you're speaking to the person that's in charge of doing these event planning things, they know the headaches of the hiccups that could happen on a regular basis. All you have to do, you don't even have to know what that hiccup was. You could just mention that. They're immediately going to fly back in their brain back to the last time that they showed up for an event and things were wrong, registrations were wrong, the hotel wasn't booked right or whatever, and they never want to. That's like them touching a hot stove, right? They're going to instantly remember what that pain felt like, and next thing you're going to know, they don't want that mistake to happen again. So now at least you bought yourself a few seconds. They're willing to have a conversation with you to see how you might be able to help them avoid that in the future. And again, that's all you need your opening value statement to do, is to get the conversation started. Pique their interest, gain permission to get the conversation started. I hope this makes sense. I hope this is going to help you guys when you're doing creating your own opening value statements. If you have any questions, you know how to get a hold of us. You can even email me right here at my email address, mpedone@salesbuzz.com. Take care, everybody. We'll see you next time.